Let's talk about shopping for a loan. All right. Well, first off, you know that it's easy to compare interest rates, right? That's the obvious. When people are looking for a loan, they say, what's your interest rate? Now, a lot goes into that question, and that's a different video because that's really not the best question to ask. But a more complicated question and definitely more analysis is not just your rate, but what's the cost for the loan? Because any lender can show you a really low rate, but they may be hiding super high costs. So here we go. We're going to show a loan estimate, and we're going to show how to properly and accurately compare different loan quotes as far as fees are concerned. First off, there's an official form called the loan estimate. You can go to the Consumer Protection Finance Bureau website, and they'll show you several videos and all kinds of pages about how to compare, how to look at it, how to read it. But most people won't. A lot of lenders know that people won't know this information, so they'll provide the borrowers with some kind of internal document or even just an email to show them what the fees are on a loan. Here's an example of a client that received something like this from a lender. There are handwritten notes as far as the cost and zero itemization. You can absolutely not compare loans with something like this. Many lenders won't give you a loan estimate up front because A, they're not required to unless they have 6 vital pieces of information about the borrower, including the property address, social security number, so pretty much a whole application. Some lenders also don't provide the loan estimate because A, maybe they don't know how, the loan officer doesn't handle that, and that lender is so compartmentalized that you don't know where the loan is at any given time in the process, or they don't want to show their actual costs, so they kind of lump it all together and give you an email like, hey, here's your total cost for the loan, just like in that last example. You can request and receive a loan estimate from a lender at any time. Now, here's a copy of the loan estimate. It's 3 pages long. This is what the first page looks like. But all the details you really want to see as far as comparing fees will be itemized on page 2. Here's page 2 of your loan estimate. This is a sample copy that I downloaded directly from the Consumer Protection Finance Bureau. You can see it's broken down into different sections, and let's talk about each individual section so you can see which ones you need to pay attention to and which ones you probably don't really need to pay attention to as far as comparing options from different lenders. Now, I do want to point out here on the bottom right, it's usually hidden, is section J, which also includes lender credits. Now, this is not really something you're going to compare fees to, although it's an important number, but this credit is directly tied to pricing and locking. So unless you have locked pricing and you're looking to lock in your rates at the same time, and you've compared different quotes for rates at the same time of day, then this will change, and the lender is not obligated to honor this at all. So I wouldn't really look at this as far as comparing loan estimates unless you're actually looking to lock in your rate.
All right, on page 2 of your loan estimate, on the right side is a section called Other Costs. And this itemizes a few things that are not lender dependent. Now, of course, if the lender does not include transfer taxes, then they're on the hook for it, but this won't affect you in any way. They can overestimate it, but the actual cost for these services on this side, like the county recording, transfer taxes, that's the same no matter what. Now, the lenders also probably don't know what your insurance is or your taxes, or even have a closing date to accurately calculate your prepaid interest. So really the items in this section are not something you would compare because it is independent of the lender, and it will be the same no matter which loan option or lender you pick. All right, here are sections B and C. These represent various third-party services that you need to close your transaction. There's section B, which are things you cannot shop for, like your appraisal, your credit report vendor, and some other small verifications and services. And section C, where we will disclose some providers and fees, but you can actually shop around and pick the different providers. Now, different areas, many times the seller actually picks these services, but technically, as a buyer, you are able to pick these because they're related to the financing. Now, B and C, you really shouldn't shop between different lenders because the lender doesn't pick these services at all. So your actual cost will be their actual cost, no matter who you go with as far as the lender. Many times it's the seller or the buyer who pick these services. Section B, you can kind of shop for them, but the appraisal fees are the biggest ones, and a lot of those can change when the order is placed based on the location, the property type, and things like that. So many lenders will overpad this, but the actual cost will be the actual cost, and nobody knows the exact fee up front. So it's very hard to pick a lender based on this. And if this was your only factor that's a difference between the lenders, then I would just go with the lender you like best and not, nitpick over $10, $15, because that will change. All right, this is the big one. This is box A of the loan estimate. These are origination charges. Now, these are items that are either directly charged by the lender, meaning origination points or processing fee, underwriting fee, application fee, anything like that. But it also includes discount points. Now, you can shop all those things I mentioned, but discount points are related to lender credits, which are related to the pricing. So that could change, and there's no tolerance for that until the loan's actually locked. So you really can't shop the discount points unless you're shopping the rate and you're in a position to lock in your rate. But lenders will have to disclose if they have any of these other fees. Some lenders will have origination fees for all their loans, right? Some lenders will have underwriting or processing in all their loans, and those are hard costs. The lender may be able to waive it, but if you're looking side by side and everything else is equal, but box A is what's setting things apart, well, that's really where the money is for you to negotiate or pick a different lender. So if the rate's the same for the loans, the lock period's the same loan product, everything equal, and like we said, the other sections, most of them are not related to the loan officer or the lending at all. So box A is really where you'd see the difference. And if they say anything in there, if the lender says anything about you can't waive fees, you can't do that, well, you're dealing with probably a big corporation lender where they're A, charging a lot of fees because many borrowers just accept and move on, or the borrowers are told they can't negotiate those fees, which is a joke. Or the loan officer has no idea how things work and they just think that's how the loans are supposed to be. The only fee you would see here on our end would be discount points, and that would be at your option. If you wanted to buy down the rate below market, or if the pricing is such where the rate you need or the closest to par rate is just below market where you may have a couple dollars just for that rate, that would be here. If a lender is giving you resistance about providing you a loan estimate, you may need a different lender. But you're totally entitled to get a loan estimate so you can properly compare fees if you're obtaining home financing.